All right, welcome back. So we have a quick top 8 announcement for you guys, and then we'll get into our match for the top 8, and I actually think it's going to be a pretty good one. It'll be definitely worth watching. So we have, as we expected, Mark did make the top 8. He's
Yes.
the 8 seed, so he'll be playing Bram again. He'll be on the draw, but he'll be playing Bram again this round. So we have Mark in 8th, Michael Rivera in 7th. He's our returning store champion.
Yep.
We have Jason Barr in 3rd. We watched
Sixth.
Jason. Or, sorry, in
Yep.
6th. Yep. Evan Truitt in 5th. We watched Evan and Jason play earlier.
Yep.
Then we have Katie. Katie Carta is in 4th place, so she gets to be on the play in the first round, which is going to be really good for her mono red deck.
Yep.
Eric, our green-red dinosaur player, is in 3rd. And then, as we expected, AJ Carta is in 2nd place.
Yep.
Him and Eric drew to lock up 2nd
Right.
and 3rd place. And in 1st place, we have Bram winning the Dream Crush game,
Which wasn't a dream crush at all.
which crushed our dreams.
It did.
It was sad.
We just wanted some nice drama.
Yeah, we just
You
wanted, some dream crushing. Okay, so the match that we decided to pick for you guys is AJ versus Michael. This is actually a repeat of our finals from last Store Champs, if you guys remember.
Yep. Michael managed to win in a pretty anticlimactic game in which I believe AJ mulligans
cast
to
like 2
5
spells.
and didn't do a whole lot.
Wasn't great.
Michael was at that time playing a blue-red kind of splashing for Nicol Bolas control deck featuring Gear Hulk. He's playing much in the same vein of decks here, but without the Nicol Bolas or the Gear Hulks. He's playing blue-white approach.
Yeah, so it's very much a true control deck. It got one really important card. It's a 4-mana instant. Exile all creatures, all attacking creatures, and then those creatures' controller puts lands into play for each of those creatures.
Yeah, and I can talk a lot about that card if you'd like, because I think it's bad.
It's actively bad.
It's not good.
Yep, every time it resolves, your opponent immediately wins the next turn, which is really
Now,
bad for you.
Of course, there's gonna be spots where it's good.
Right. And it also, the better your opponent is, the worse the card is.
True.
Because they'll sometimes leave back a threat to still have pressure the next turn, or they'll know how much mana they need and they'll attack with enough damage to threaten and try to get some mana out of you. But if your opponent is overextending, it can actually be
Certainly,
okay.
and of course it's an annoyance, and just the presence of it in decks like this changes the way that you have to play against the deck, and oftentimes you're going to end up playing in a way that is not optimal, because you're trying to play around a card that they might not even have.
Sorry, I am fixing our title sheet as we speak. Can you type? And can you put his 7 next to him? Okay, so I saw in Michael's opening hand that he has a approach, which is it's funny because it's like you really want to cast it on turn 7, but you don't really want to have it in your opening hand because it's kind of a clunky card.
Yeah, it's certainly not the kind of card that you want in your opener. You want to be drawing those in the mid-game so that you can set up your game plan, really to, be about casting that card twice.
Yep, and this is really AJ's best start. In my opinion, in this matchup, the best thing you can do on turn 2. Man, you gotta spell that right. That's what I was pointing at. The best thing you can do is start trying to draw cards, and it does appear that he has a follow-up ballista or a follow-up snake. So if Michael doesn't have a removal spell here for this Guild Sleeve Siphoner, we could see him drawing an extra card every turn for the foreseeable future. Which is really going to allow him to play around a Wrath effect.
Yeah, I actually think that AJ's absolute best draw in this matchup includes a turn 2 snake into some sort of additional threat, optimally Rishkar, because that allows him to just put so much pressure on Michael right off the bat.
AJ misses a land drop here.
And no spell.
Which is interesting because I see a cub in his hand, as well as I believe a snake. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little surprised that he chose not to put either of those threats into play. He may be holding up Blossoming Defense, but honestly, the blue-white deck just doesn't have that much targeted removal.
I think he missed on a land again, drawing an extra card.
This could be really bad for AJ. He does appear to have a couple of 2-drops in his hand, so he probably won't have to discard.
And there's a snake.
I'm just very surprised he didn't try to resolve.
Yeah, that
maybe he just doesn't want it to get censored.
Certainly.
But like, if you're missing land drop, censor's going to get you eventually, anyways, right?
Yeah. It certainly seems odd that he would not, at least even try to resolve a spell in that spot. But as it is, we've got. Oh, and that again wasn't a land there.
This game's getting harder and harder to win. If Michael keeps hitting land drops, I think AJ's on the order of 0% to win this game.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, Michael being the control player is the one who's put in the spot where his cards have to match up against AJ's cards. If AJ just hits some land drops and starts deploying threats, I see there's a Blossoming Defense in his hand, stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be
good enough. We know that Michael already has the approach in his hand.
Yeah.
And he already has a way to get 4 cards deep in play.
Certainly. I think really what it's going to come down to is, will he live?
He also has a removal spell in his hand.
And I think
he has two approaches. So as soon as he hits 7 mana, it's going to go 7/8 kill you.
Yeah. I think really if Michael has a Fumigate in his hand, which the card at the very front there looks like either Fumigate or Settle the Wreckage. And really probably
I don't think you're going to cast Settle the Wreckage here.
I think either, well, not here certainly, but
no, but I mean,
down the line, I think having either of those cards in your hand pretty much locks it up.
Yeah, so AJ here draws
a tune.
Really, maybe his most awkward card.
It's something.
It's sort of a land, but it costs you a land, or it costs you 1 mana, so it's not really a land this turn, but it's a land next turn.
Yeah, we're still pretty sure he has more 2-mana spells that he can cast in his hand.
But I think he needed to be casted. I think he should not have held up. He should not have skipped a turn 2 play. And I think we're just going to watch him get into a position
where you saw that, right?
He almost put the counter
AJ,
on the...
put the die on the energy counter, and then thought, hold on a second, this goes on top of my deck.
Yeah, we're going to have some strong words with him. AJ might not be invited back for the next Tour Champs.
I'm not sure if we can make a decision like that, but if we can, he's
we're
out of
both
here.
Wearing ties.
That's not true.
If you were wearing a tie, we could have got him. We don't look official.
I mean, you're not wearing a jacket.
But I have a pink tie on.
True. Anyway, we're seeing AJ now fight over an Aether Meltdown.
Which doesn't feel great.
It allows him to get in for 4 points of damage this turn if everything goes his way, and he gets to keep his Siphoner around to keep attacking for more damage. I mean, if this happens, Michael's going to be down to 10. It's not...
Yeah, but it means he's not committing another threat to the board.
Yeah.
And I realize the Aether Meltdown nullifies one of his threats, so he kind of has to do this. But I just think without having multiple threats on board, he just can't put enough pressure on Michael to kill him before he just goes approach, kill you, win the game.
Mm-hmm. The players seem to be talking about something here. Unclear if...
I believe they're deciding whether or not Michael gets energy.
The answer is no.
The answer is
so we've
no.
got a judge here.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is not like an O-ring where it comes into play and then exiles something. It's actually an enchant creature, so it never enters the battlefield if it if the creature has hexproof, for example.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant.
I'll take another, says Michael.
Sure.
So in the end, he did get his energy.
Yeah.
That'll show him.
I also think he's very unlikely to lose this game.
I agree.
He's taking 0 damage this turn. He's taking 0 damage next turn.
Mm-hmm.
If he just goes land, AJ's gonna have to figure out a way to deal 14 to him on the following turn, and beat a removal spell because there's a cast out in his hand.
He actually has to deal 21.
Oh, you're right. No, because if he goes land, yeah, okay, yeah, 21. You're right.
AJ's dead.
He's really dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't feel good.
And notably, game 1 is the hardest game for AJ to win.
That's true.
By a lot.
Yeah, this matchup gets significantly better after board. He gets to bring in some number of negates. I think that he has the full 4.
I would expect 4 negates and 3 duresses
at
the minimum.
His list earlier. I'm pretty sure he has 4 negates. Here's Michael's list.
Yeah. The other big thing, though, is that he just gets to take all of his removal spells out.
Yeah, so he's just drawing all
like
gas.
Every single card he draws is either a land or an impactful spell. Usually. Sometimes you draw a tune with Aether, which technically is not a land or an impactful spell.
It can be impactful, though.
But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so he has 3 duress and 4 negate in the sideboard.
Yeah.
He also has a Vraska in the sideboard, which I think is pretty good in this matchup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Setting your opponent's... the blue-white deck can gain a reasonable amount of life. Setting your opponent's life total to 1 is a real thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with Ballista in your deck.
Vraska is a cool threat because a lot of the times Vraska is 6 mana, make a 2/2, and then you have to use your cast out on this.
Sure.
Sometimes it's blow up your cast out, which you had to use on something else,
and then kill you with
and then continue making 2/2s.
Yep. Yeah.
So Vraska is great, and actually I really like we're seeing a good interaction here, and one of the reasons why Aether Meltdown is really a subpar removal spell, while it effectively nullifies the attacks of the Glint Sleeve Siphoner,
he's still getting the energy.
He still gets to attack and get an energy, and he still gets to draw an extra card every turn.
Right.
So how much did that Aether Meltdown really do?
Yeah, also, interesting point is a lot of times Aether Meltdown will be put on a Long Tusk Cup because it's an aggressive early threat. And sometimes you just put a bunch of counters on a Long Tusk Cup and kill them.
I've done that.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever attack with a 2/6 Long Tusk Cup?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
You know, there was a long time in this format where I would attack with my Aether Meltdown creature to play around Blessed Alliance.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
I realized Blessed Alliance isn't in Standard anymore.
Yeah. That's not very good.
No.
That was a real thing you should do beforehand.
By doing that, I actually played around Settle the Wreckage, which at the time I didn't know people were playing because I thought that card was awful. So,
interesting.
It worked out.
Yeah. Play right, get rewarded.
Yeah.
Even if you don't realize why you're playing right.
Obviously, I would never play poorly. So, you know. All I'm saying is that...
Here we see a Rogue Refiner, which is actually one of AJ's... It doesn't matter. There's no way he's winning.
But that card is great.
He
put a 3/2 in play and drew a card.
And got 2 energy. And he's going to die very soon.
Oh, he's got like 3 turns. Okay, he's technically still got 3 turns.
I guess he didn't play a land this... Michael didn't play a land this turn. If he draws no more lands for the rest of the game, there's some chance AJ can win.
He can draw... Yeah, no more lands. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, if he draws 1 more land, AJ will lose.
We're figuring out life totals. I believe it should be 16. Yep,
Yeah.
there we go.
It's this is very, very complicated program we have here. You touch it with your finger.
Yeah, but it isn't super clear because the buttons at the top are for adding life, and those are very clearly labeled. +1, +5. There are no buttons for subtracting life. Sure. You have to click on your life total. It's not very intuitive.
How does AJ have so many cards in his hand?
Well, he drew an extra card with Glint Sleeve Siphoner like 3 turns in a row, and then he played a Rogue Refiner.
Yeah, but he only drew 1 card this turn.
Does he? He didn't have 8 cards, did he?
He had before he played
or 9 cards.
He still has 8 cards. So he had 8 cards going through his opponent's turn last turn.
So 2, 4.
There's 8.
Yeah,
9 was
that's
his
8.
draw.
That's 8 cards. Well, it looks like there's some cheats. Some cheats happening.
I don't think cheating is the right word because I don't think he did it intentionally.
Oh, it's cheats.
But there was, we, again, seeing some game rules violations.
That's becoming quite the trend here.
Yeah.
Again, there's not a lot we could do about it. And it really doesn't matter because Michael's just gonna keep casting Fumigate until the game ends.
It might have mattered there just because the Long Tusk Cub could have got enormous, so if he didn't have a removal spell. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to mention to the players in between rounds. Try not to cheat.
Yeah. Here at Collector Mania, we try to play by the rules. And while it doesn't always happen, in fact, it rarely happes. We try real hard.
Also, something that I think is interesting that we've seen for a couple turns here is these Fumigates need double white for you to cast them. Well, he has that cast out in his hand that he would love to try to cycle into a land, but he doesn't have a third white source.
But it doesn't matter because there's a 7th
it's
land.
Gonna kill him.
Here's approach number 1.
He'll
Next
go to 25.
turn, we will be seeing approach number 2.
Let's see. Does AJ have main board negates?
No.
That'd be a firm no.
Because if he did, then he would have more than 5 negates in his 75, and that would be more cheating.
More than 5.
Well, more than 4.
Yep. You want to be careful not to have the wrong number of negates or duresses. Also, you want to make sure you write them down correctly, or sometimes you get a game loss.
That's true.
In the Grand Prix.
Yeah. Now, Michael here, of course. Okay, there it is. He flashes the second one,
and they're picking up their cards. I'm gonna go ahead and take a step out real quick. Why don't you talk about sideboarding? I think we covered what AJ wants to be doing, putting in good cards.
Yeah.
So why don't you take a look at the blue-white approach sideboard and see if you can help our viewers understand what it's going to look like after board.
So Michael has access to 2 disallows, 3 negates, 3 authority of the consuls, 3 regal caracals, and a full 4 torrential gearhulks. This is the sort of a matchup where if he thinks that AJ is likely to take out pretty much all of his removal, which I think is the case, this creature sideboard package could actually be very effective with 4 Gearhulks and 3 Regal Caracals. Specifically the Gearhulks, I think those are going to be in the deck for sure. The Caracals I'm not sold on because oftentimes I think those are going to be outsized by AJ's creatures. So we might see those ones stay in the sideboard. Apart from that, I don't really like any of these other sideboard cards, and in fact I think Michael's main deck is pretty well set up to fight against AJ's strategy. Just a lot of Fumigates. Yeah, a lot of Fumigates. Really all you want to be doing, just Fumigate all the time. But I think the Gearhulks will come in, just help make sure that Michael isn't losing on the board in the mid-game. And that's really his main weakness he's going to shore up. Like we said, AJ's going to bring in 4 negates, 3 duresses, maybe a few other cards, depending on how many cards he has that he wants to take out from his main deck.
We clarified that the maximum hand size in Magic is, in fact, 7 cards.
7.
Yeah, which is
One
less than
8.
Less than 8 cards.
Oh.
So we seem to have that clarified now.
Good.
AJ responded with, "I did it again," which is not a great sign.
Did he start with oops?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it was actually, dang it, I did it again.
That's not how that song goes.
Well, it's less funny the way he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm pointing out.
Yeah, bad value.
Yeah.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
on a completely unrelated note.
Despite the cheating, AJ still lost, so we should update this to say that Michael is up a game.
Yeah. So on an unrelated note,
Unrelated.
I had a meeting this morning.
Yes.
For work.
Okay.
And we were talking about a coworker. Well, someone who works for the government that works on one of the programs I work on.
Okay.
And his name is Colonel Mike Jones.
Okay.
And so one of our employees says, "Oh yeah, Mike Jones said that." And then my boss says, not hearing him, "Who?" To which he responds, "Mike Jones." Which I then respond, "Who?" And again he says, Mike Jones, which I thought was hilarious. Nobody else got it. Except for my boss, who started laughing.
You've got a good boss.
Yeah. Very funny.
Ugh. That was unrelated.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a song, though.
A lot of the times when people say something is unrelated,
They mean it's actually related.
Yeah.
No, mine was pretty tangential.
yeah.
So, quick note while they're sideboarding. Collector Mania is going through some renovations.
Yes.
So there is some chance that we may cast the next Store Champs.
Not
Not
from
in the closet.
That would be magnificent.
Breaking news. Matt and I are coming out of the closet.
Yes. Wait, does that mean we have to do the bro kiss thing now?
No.
Oh, God, thank you.
I only kiss pretty boys. Unlucky.
Yeah, that one hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, these guys still getting ready here.
AJ has traditionally been a very thoughtful sideboarder. He's, just
when you say that, do you just mean slow?
No, he actually does put a lot of thought into which cards are coming in and coming out. Unfortunately, he does that during the match as opposed to before the match. But I'm actually mostly just kidding. I think that I saw right there some number of his Blossoming defenses, and it looks like they're coming out.
I think he should not have any of those in his deck.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I think Blossoming Defense is not very good when your opponent's really trying to wrath you and kill you with a card that says, I win the game. Yeah, so I agree with that sideboarding strategy. If those are in fact Blossoming Defenses.
Those definitely are. It looks like it's really anguishing him trying to decide whether or not those should be in the deck.
Yeah, and it is AJ's favorite card in the history of Magic.
That's true.
According to what I think, not based on anything he said to me.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. We gotta make
But it might
that
actually
disclaimer.
might actually be his favorite card in the history of
Could
Magic.
be. It's a good card. Just not here.
Yeah.
Just not the time. Of note, AJ has a lot invested in this. He's actually made the finals of the last 2 store championships in a row, of which he won neither.
Yeah, but I think that's less an indication of him not being quite good enough and more an indication of just being a little bit unlucky. I think AJ is one of the stronger players that plays consistently. If you just look at the standings for this tournament, AJ was the #1 seed going into the tournament.
Yep.
By like 20 match points.
It was not close.
It wasn't even
at
remotely
all.
close. So, yes, AJ plays a lot, but he also wins a lot.
Yeah.
Which is, an important thing to keep in mind when you're watching this this tournament is some of these players, play against each other pretty often, and AJ is consistently one of the best players in the room.
Definitely. And then sitting across from him, of course, Michael is invested as well. He's attempting to become back-to-back store championship winner, which is a title held by a select few people.
That's true. There are not very many people who have won back-to-back store
Can
championships.
you name anyone who's done that?
Ian Starkbaum.
Okay.
Won back-to-back store championships. I believe that Alex also won back-to-back store championships.
Yes.
He might have cheated, though. Unclear.
Wow. Wow.
Look at me in the eyes and tell me he never cheated.
At store championships?
Yeah.
He never cheated at store championships.
Oh, well, maybe that. Who knows? Yeah. And I think there might be one other person.
Unclear.
Yeah.
But if there is, they're probably just really lucky.
Yep. Better lucky than good, as that person usually says.
Who is that person? I don't know.
It wasn't Matt.
It was not me.
It was not Matt. Matt has played in store championships.
Yeah, a couple of times.
Yeah. Have you won any of them?
I have not.
Yeah, you suck.
In fact, actually, I may have only played store championships once. And I played. This was quite a while ago. I didn't make store championships because I was good at Magic. I made store championships because I showed up
to every event.
every time.
Yeah.
Because I just loved playing. I played like a 4-color Super Friends deck that was that had Thassa, God of the Sea in it.
Yeah, that can't be right.
It was really bad.
Is that the store championship that I won? The first one?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I did not make top 8.
That's true.
Let's put it that way. Yeah. Although I do seem to remember,
it like to play in a Store Championship and not make the top 8?
it really depends how good at Magic you think you are.
Guess that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These players are still shuffling.
Yeah, there's we may have diverged slightly from really meaningful content, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that squarely on our players' shoulders.
Yeah, and you know it's not for lack of trying.
Can we get another straw poll?
Yeah, where are all the straw polls at?
Yeah,
I mean, look, the players are at fault here, but the chat is also at fault.
Yeah,
they're
really
just giving us nothing.
Yeah.
The last thing that was posted in chat was there at the end of the last match.
Was it the end of round 3?
Was it? No, I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I don't think that's true.
You're right, because Harsh Mentor is in there.
Yeah.
So, it appears that both of our players are going to 6, and I actually think that would, on the average, favor AJ.
Yes.
AJ needs to put less pieces together to win the game. Most of his cards fight.
Yep.
Michael has more cards that do kind of very specific things. But one thing that is true is Michael has more cards that are like big game swingers. In particular, Fumigate.
Yeah.
He can just catch up on cards a lot faster occasionally.
And actually, you weren't here for this, but I mentioned Michael actually has a full playset of Torrential Gearhulks in his sideboard that I anticipate are in his deck.
Why not? Bring the heat. Big blue robot.
Yeah.
Coming in hot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 5/6. That's very big.
It's bigger than all of AJ's guys.
Yeah. Under the assumption there's not a snake in play.
Sure.
Yeah. In which case, all of his guys are way bigger.
Yeah. Maybe some of them.
Snake is kind of an unreasonable Magic card.
I mean, it's not a reasonable Magic card, if that's what you're saying.
Okay, I believe AJ is going to keep his hand.
I see a Blooming Marsh.
They are both scrying.
So,
and the
seems
second
good.
Blooming Marsh goes to the bottom.
All right.
AJ leads on that Blooming Marsh. Makes sense. Tap line from Michael. And we appear to have a foil. I think that's a forest, but it could be... It's one of the new Bolus lands.
We can say it is a basic land.
Yes.
Could be a mountain.
Untapped. He also does seem to have multiple 2-drops in his hand.
I think that's a swamp.
It is a swamp. You are right. So he has a cub. That's pretty good. I think that, personally, I would probably just... So he does have a Rogue Refiner in his hand, which he's now casting. I think, personally, here, I would actually lead.
Okay.
I would just fight with the cub first. Make him make the decision if he's gonna try to kill your cub.
Yeah.
And don't let him potentially cash in a Censor. Now, Censor's not particularly good in this matchup, and it's not likely to be in on the draw. But it is one of the things, I think the 1 point of damage just isn't worth the chance that you get your Rogue Refiner censored when he might have wanted to remove your cub.
Sure, I agree.
And Michael seems to be doing more or less what he wants to do, just hitting land drops. Based on the way he's playing, I suspect he has a Fumigate, and I can see a Approach of the Second Sun in his hand.
Mm-hmm. And I think a Farm to Market also.
Farm to Market. That card is hot. Big fan. Big fan.
Here it is. It's going to take out a Long Tusk Cub.
Yeah, destroy target attacking creature.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the backside, you draw to discard 2?
Yeah, it's a Faithless Looting for 3 mana.
Yeah. So it's like really like a Faithless Looting. Out
Yeah.
of the graveyard, 3 mana.
It's exactly Faithless Looting, except it doesn't cost red.
It's blue.
Yeah. Which makes it better.
Fact.
By a lot.
Because you can play islands, you don't have to play mountains.
Mm.
But it is a card that I think is very good in this deck because it doubles. It's a removal spell early, and then it doubles as a way to dig you into your win condition later in the game, which is really good. It's kind of an interesting. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy you have because you really want to rush through your deck as soon as you cast the first approach.
It's good specifically in this deck. Most control decks, I would say that card is a below average card.
It is.
But with Approach of the Second Suns as your win condition, it interacts quite favorably. Now, I really want to see on this turn if AJ is going to commit any additional threats onto the board and play into a Fumigate that could be coming next turn. He's already got 5 damage in play. And in fact, one of those cards is also a source of card advantage.
Yeah, I personally like the plan of hold back, try to hit some land drops, maybe cast an Attune to get your main up, and only play threats that'll live through Fumigate.
Yeah, which there
if he
aren't
has like a Vraska, you can't cast it now, but at some point later in the game, that's the kind of threat I would like to commit to the board.
And I do see he has at least one more land, either he plays it. And it looks like he's going to cast something.
Aethersphere Harvester would be worth putting in.
And
play.
I would be okay with him.
Does he have any Aethersphere Harvesters?
I don't believe so. He goes with a Deathgorge Scavenger. And I'm not sure I love this. I just...
You know, interestingly, I don't think this card... I'm not a huge fan of this card coming in. But it's kind of...
I think...
looks okay here.
No, I think it's fine for him to bring it in. Certainly, if he has not enough cards...
Here's that Fumigate you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. I just
punish.
think it was potentially not correct for him to actually cast it there. I think it's fine to have it in the deck.
Sure.
Because it's another threat, and interacting with the graveyard against blue-white is... It's not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, especially when they have Torrential Gearhulks in the sideboard, which most blue-white decks do.
Right, and unfortunately here, he's in a position where he has to cast an Attune to get his 6th land, which means he can't threaten Vraska. Again, I don't actually think it's in his hand, but that would be exactly what you want to do. That would even potentially be a reason to overextend a little bit, to try to get your opponent to tap out, and then just slam a better threat than everything you had on the line.
We'll see what his follow-up is here. Certainly he's going to need to do something
it does look like he has a Rogue Refiner,
impressive
which is going to be
this
pretty
turn. Rogue Refiner is a good start.
I think it looks like he has actually Rogue Refiner and Cub. He might just be able to rebuild the exact same board.
That would be great.
Especially, it's going to put him up to 6 energy, which is making this Cub a real threat.
Yeah. And the blue-white deck...
And there's another Rogue Refiner, which is going to be a good follow-up next turn.
Oh, he's comboing off.
That's pretty efficient.
The blue-white deck doesn't have a lot of hard removal. Going forward, I'm going to watch how AJ chooses to attack, playing around, or maybe just not playing around, Settle the Wreckage. Because...
I think it's getting to the point where you can't really afford to play around it.
I think that generally attacking with 2 creatures is the sweet spot. It's when both of those creatures are reasonably sized.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The ability to put, threaten 5 damage this turn is pretty good. There also, because he just drew this Attune, there might be an argument for putting some counters on this Cub and just fighting with the Cub.
No, I think here you attack with both creatures and you put 1 counter on your Longtusk Cub and then see what Michael does.
Block.
Because that gets him dead next turn if Michael has nothing.
Sure. Yeah, so we're in the middle of resolving an Attune. That puts AJ up to 8 mana. 8 energy, 7 lands. Which represents four counters on the Cub. So there could be an argument for cashing in these counters, making it a 6/6, fighting with just that creature. Because that allows you to play around both Fumigate and Settle the Wreckage. But I think I like your strategy a little bit better of this turn specifically attacking with both. And then going forward, maybe only attacking with 1 creature at a time. I think he might be playing the second Rogue Refiner, though, and I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that.
That's fine. I think if he wants to do that to get more information to see really if he does, in fact, want to attack with both of his creatures, I think that's fine. But I like this. I like just starting with the attack. It seems incredibly likely that you're going to do that anyway, no matter what. You draw off that Rogue Refiner. And I think I would like to see him put exactly 1 counter on the Cub here.
Right. I would agree with that. There might be an argument that you can always do it later, but I think you should do it now.
And there
I
he
think
goes.
putting all of them on is very aggressive.
That is certainly aggressive.
And it seems to have worked out for him.
It looks like Michael doesn't have Settle the Wreckage, or AJ would have gotten hard wrecked.
And here I do not like this at all. I don't. This Rogue Refiner, unless you're hoping to draw into exactly a negate, all this Rogue Refiner is doing is putting him in a position where Fumigate's even better.
Yeah.
You already have 2 lethal threats in play, and they just don't have that much target.
Seeing as how he dealt exactly enough damage that turn to make the Rogue Refiner itself lethal, I think holding back here is probably smart because he's got 2 lethal threats in play then.
Sure.
And even if
I guess
Michael were to cast an approach here, he would still have lethal.
Right, because
with just his 2 creatures.
Right, because he could play the Rogue Refiner at that point and get the energy.
Right.
And kill him. Yeah. But we'll have to see. It doesn't look like Michael found a Fumigate immediately.
Yeah, and the game could just be over here.
It definitely could be.
And I don't have a good look at AJ's hand, but if he has a negate,
I think his last card. So this is funny. I think his last card might be a Carnage Tyrant, like his last real card. His last spell.
Well, it looks like Michael doesn't have anything. Michael, of course, isn't going to concede because AJ might.
You just never know,
do something.
Right?
Well, and when Settle the Wreckage is in your deck,
yeah,
you should never concede until they at least attack you with creatures.
So, under the assumption that the only way he can win is Settle the Wreckage here, do you just attack with your 2 Rogue Refiners, or does that lead you too likely to being blown out by a Gearhulk? What are you more afraid of?
So I think actually, if there's a Gearhulk, attacking with the 2 Rogue Refiners is still lethal because I believe there is no removal spell in the graveyard.
You're right, because he ate that farm to market.
So yeah, two Rogue Refiners attacking probably is good. AJ is going to throw them all in there, and Michael had it.
That's got to feel real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now he does appear to have some spells to follow up.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, is that a Vraska in his hand there at the front?
I think that's a snake.
Oh, one of those black-green cards.
Yeah, so I really would have liked to have seen the attack with 2 creatures there. Mm-hmm. They're both lethal. He's got to remove both of them. If this exact situation happens, you still get your 2 lands, and you have a lethal threat on board next turn.
And what's really punishing about this, I don't think he has 3 basics left in his deck.
So it's just like
he's cast a tune so many times this game. That's all he's
2.
caught.
Yeah, I think this was a position where he could have taken a second to think critically about the cards that beat him here.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, it could be that there's something we're missing, where if he only attacks with the Rogue Refiners, there's something Michael could have to not die in that situation.
And he does have a follow-up cub that's a lethal threat.
Yeah.
And Michael did not cast the Approach to the Second Sun here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure. So he would die to an attune, right?
How much energy does AJ currently have?
Just 2.
Just 2. And just the cub is coming in. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to represent.
I think it's fine because if he has a removal spell, I guess it depends on what's in his hand, I suppose.
I'm not aware of any instant speed ways to gain energy out of the bug deck. So, as is, this cub can only grow to a 4/4 and still would die to Torrential Gearhulk. But Michael's going to go ahead and just flashback Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah, he knows this is a free exile effect at this point.
Sure.
Right? There's no basics left in his deck.
Yeah.
It's just 4 mana.
And AJ doesn't cast anything to follow up.
I think this
There's
game
an attune.
is, again, I think we're at the point
yeah.
where this game's pretty much over.
Well, Michael has gone to -2 life.
He should be at 10, I believe.
Yes. There it is. Looks like we've got someone standing over to the side helping these guys out.
Helpful player on the side. Interesting. That was I think that was a Blossoming Defense that stayed in the deck.
I thought I saw one of those, and it's certainly reasonable to keep some number of those in. I can't imagine he's still got all 4.
Does he have enough deserts to kill him next turn? I think he does.
So, well, if new Rivulet or whatever that card is called mills 4 at a time, So after this activation, there will be one card on top of the approach. So now that he's drawn, the approach is the top card of the library, and he's going to find it here with the Supreme Will.
Yep.
And there's the match. So AJ's
I think that was played pretty well by both players. There were a few moments where I think I would have liked to see AJ play slightly differently. But that's not even to say that he was making like misplays. I just think that there were it was kind of like thin moments.
And this game actually shows the value that Settle a Wreckage does add to the blue-white approach deck, which is that even though the card isn't particularly good, it forces your opponent to play in ways that are
suboptimal,
unintuitive.
Yeah.
You know? And that's
and
worth
you're right,
something.
You're right. All the gear hooks and the disallows came in. That makes sense to me. All those seem good in this matchup.
Yeah. I didn't know if he was going to bring in the disallows. They seem medium.
I think that they're pretty okay in this, just because there are threats that cost more than 3 mana that they're good against. And you can also there's a couple of random activations.
AJ tried to steal the playmat.
What a jerk.
First he's cheating, now he's stealing stuff. We can't trust this guy.
Can't trust him at all.
But you got to feel for him. Third store
champ
champs
in
in
a
a
row.
row. He top 8s. He didn't quite make it to the finals this time, but he did lose to the same player he lost to in the finals last time.
And I think depending on how the Rubenap Red decks do, I think Michael might be one of our favorites to win this.
Yeah, certainly if he has to play against either of those two red decks, it's going to be rough for him, especially because I noticed he doesn't actually have a full 4 authority of the consoles and the sideboard. He's only playing 3
cat lords though.
He does.
That's pretty good.
Those are good, certainly, but you have to get to them.
Yeah. All right, I think we're going to take a quick break and get ready for the semifinals.
Yeah, we will see y'all in a bit.